Okay, looks like it's on. Could you talk into the mic? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Okay, I can hear you on stream.
Alright, I can hear you.
And you can also hear me on stream. Good.
Nice. Okay. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. The stream probably heard the ping from LinkedIn. Cringe. Guy who uses LinkedIn. Can you hear the dishwasher in the background?
Yes.
You can hear the dishwasher? That's too bad.
I like it. It's nice.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go on and mute the stream and unmute you on Discord just so there's not this huge delay.
Sounds good.
There we go.
Da 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 la 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 la. Okay. Okay, so I'll just shave the first 3 minutes off, approximately. And start the video here. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Welcome to the stream. I am showing off the brand new episode, the brand new update for my virtual museum project, SHADOWBOX, which you can play for free on Windows PC. You can enroll in the Steam Early Access version, get it for free at the link that's in the video description. I'm sure it's going to be posted in other places you can see nearby, but this is a free virtual museum project you can access free of charge. If you have not seen any of this stuff before, I'm going to just kind of be showing off the highlights of what's in this most recent update. You can find other videos of me going through more in-depth into different parts of the exhibits in a little bit more detail. I'm also thinking that I should start, because stuff has changed so much since the beginning of the year when we launched in early access, I'm thinking that I should record more videos going kind of in-depth in each of these exhibits and have those out. But that'll probably be because I keep not reaching the point where I want to do that because I'm like, oh, I want to fix up, XYZ exhibit before, I go through the hassle of recording a video of it. And of course I want to be upgrading everything all the time, so I just haven't gotten to it. I'm also joined by the lead programmer for SHADOWBOX, who is in the other room. Say hello virtually through Discord.
Hello virtually through Discord.
Thank you for following instructions. If you have never played a video game before, or have not done so in a very, very long time, such as the beta tester that I was just working with earlier today, who happens to be my father, some basic orientation that might not be written around. You're going to use your mouse to look. You can use both the arrow keys to move around in different directions. You can also use WASD, which is what I prefer. So I've got mouse on my right, WASD on my left. That's the basic way that you navigate. If you want to get really fancy with it, you can press C, and that will enable free camera mode, and you can just kind of fly around and look at things at whatever angle you find most interesting. Because everything in these galleries is a choice. I have chosen to orient these things in a particular way, so they look a certain way from ground view, but you can also adjust your angle if you so desire. If you want to look more closely at different fossils, for most of them, not all of them, for most of them, you can come up close and you'll see this prompt appear at the bottom. Press R to examine, and it will bring up the inspection page. And this is why Brayden deserves so many props and kudos, because I could not have figured out programming this on my own, and it might have taken me months, if not most of this year, to figure it out, whereas this was a launch feature that's been in the beta since the very first version launched in January of this year. So you can use your mouse again, hold down your left click and drag to rotate. You can use these movement keys, either your WASD or your arrows, and scroll to zoom in and out if you want to get a closer look at any of this stuff. And then press R again to close the menu. You may cause a minor bug if you press the wrong button. As a general troubleshooting suggestion, if you get caught in something, make sure to just a basic click on the program and then pressing the button again will fix a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's just your computer thinks you've clicked off the tab or whatever. So that's kind of the navigational basics. You can see other things here. Press escape for this menu, press tab for this menu. If you go and collect, as I'm going to show over here towards the crypts, if you go and collect an audio disc, it is going to autoplay approximately 18 or so minutes of me talking, and if you really don't want to put up with that, and I totally understand if you don't, so if you hit the button, they're going to start hearing me. You hit tab and go over here to hit pause, and that's going to go ahead and pause that. So if you want to come back to that, if you want to skip around and listen to a specific part, or if you just want it to stop, that's all here, and you get in and out by pressing tab. And again, that is why we are so thankful to have a lead programmer, because I would not have been able to figure that out nearly as quickly. So when we're collecting feedback on this stuff, please use the Steam forums. You can also email me directly. It's ptpaleo@proton.me. That's ptpaleo@proton.me is my business email, so you can, if you have feedback like, hey, I played it and it bugged out on this thing, or I have this particular suggestion, send those to me, because basically so far all of the different, menu features, and even we've got a laser pointer, anytime I bring up a cool idea that I'm like, I don't really know how to do this, Brayden is able to figure it out. So definitely bring it up and send in the suggestion. I want to show off the bonus exhibit. So this is something that I opened months and months ago, but I just added something new. This is real, false, and phony, a way to kind of lay out in just sort of 3 rooms. I suppose it's continual and all just kind of one circuit, but just to lay out kind of how you tell the difference between a real fossil, a fake fossil, and something that just happens to look a lot like a fossil. And I'm going to figure out later why this disc doesn't have its texture on it. Weird stuff happens sometimes. This is why this is a beta, and also why it's free. So in this room, I have what is not a dinosaur egg. This is something that actually my family found around Tombstone, Arizona, and thought was suspiciously egg-like, and we kept it over the years, even after we found out pretty quickly. This was way early on, so I had never seen a dinosaur egg before, and I was genuinely like, well, I don't know, when my dad showed it to me. We kept it even after, we found out, obviously, that they're not dinosaur eggs. You find things like these concretions out in the world fairly often, so there actually is a fairly common occurrence of someone coming across something like this, thinking it's a dinosaur egg. And, if you've never seen one, it can be hard to tell what the real thing looks like. But that's the beauty of having a virtual free museum, is that anybody who is able to run a decent gaming setup on Windows, and again, we are trying to bring the hardware needs down as much as we can so that as many different machines can run this as possible, and again, all of that stuff. So we have here pictures of the pseudo fossil, and I included pictures of, under the microscope, dinosaur eggshell, both from sauropods, which are these long-necked dinosaurs, as well as theropods, like this generic Oviraptorosaur or something like that. And one of the things that I added in this last update is I actually went back and scanned the sauropod dinosaur eggshell fragment that I had photographed under the microscope. So these are pictures under the microscope of this object. So we can pull up to it and zoom in, rotate it around. This is just a fragment of a dinosaur eggshell. It comes from the late Cretaceous of South America. And it's just a small fragment. You can see in the corner over here on the left just how large it is, the scale for 1 centimeter. That's another one of these choices that I have to make when putting together these galleries, is at what scale do we actually show these things? Because if we're assuming, my avatar here that I'm walking around in is approximately average height for a human being, this at 1 centimeter would be just a tiny little thing on the floor you wouldn't even be able to see without crouching. So just like breakfast cereal, everything in these exhibits is shown enlarged to emphasize texture and scale and things like that. So this is, much, much larger proportionally than the real object is, but you also want people to be able to tell how big the real thing is. So that's over there on the left. You can manipulate the 3D model on the right, and this was an addition of a more recent update, but I have added more of these, more of these pronunciations at different points. So if you press V while in this menu, you will hear my voice tell you how to pronounce the name of the animal. In this case, I haven't identified this fragment to anything closer than a sauropod of the clade Sauropoda. So if you hit V, you're going to hear
Sauropoda.
And if you hit it a bunch of times, you're going to hear
Sauropoda.
If you choose, but you don't have to do that. Once is usually enough. And the, standard disclaimer is that nobody actually knows how Latin words were pronounced. Nobody knows, right? So all of these pronunciations that I put in on these different exhibits are there as kind of a suggestion. It's the way that I say things. But in reality, nobody actually knows. So don't take what you hear as gospel, right? And of course, everything that you see in here is stuff that I've hand-researched, handwritten, and things like that. It's human-made, which means it's going to have errors, right? I try to find them and fix them wherever they occur. I've yet to find any, but, again, reach out to my email if you find something that is either incompletely researched or something that has contradictory information. Of course, there are contradictory ideas about everything in science, and so maybe I've made a call that other researchers don't, but any feedback that you have on the research side of this as well, of course you can send me that, and we can have a discussion as to whether what's in there is just kind of my summary of things, or whether I want to go back and reread stuff. So I'm so happy to go and read scientific sources and things like that, that if you have a paper you want me to read, I actually genuinely will, and please do send them to me, because I have a big hoard of PDFs on my computer. Another new fossil that I added, I have just gone into the silica formation in the Devonian. This is an exhibit that I put together for my early birthday update, my little treat to myself, to go and not procrastinate, but kind of do my own fun little exercise for a week or two to build some bonus exhibits. including this like kind of avant-garde sort of glass display way of putting these fossils so you can kind of walk on them and get up close. I do weird experimental stuff with some of this stuff. Again, it's a beta. Tell me what you feel, but there's going to be weird experimental stuff. Anyway, something that's cool is that I had put in this side for this species, Strophodonta. This is a brachiopod, a shelled animal that is between 387.7 and 382.7 million years old, as you can see on the left. And guess what? I don't have this stuff, a lot of this stuff, memorized off the top of my head, because that's not what scientists do. We write stuff down so that we can access it later, so that I don't need to know the exact down to the 100 million year range, right? Exactly how old this one specimen that I looked at in March of 2025 was. So that's one of the things that this project is actually genuinely helpful for me, because I don't have physical access to all of these specimens all of the time. So I actually do go into my own exhibits and look at stuff if I want to get a close look at something and have all the information there. That's kind of the standard that I'm trying to make these two, is like, is it something that I actually enjoy using and that is helpful for me? If no, right, what are the odds it's going to be helpful for somebody else? Anyway, this one that I scanned is actually the lower valve of this animal, the kind of flat underside, and it's got, you genuinely don't see these parts of brachiopods very often, these really delicate structures that are part of, you know, the muscle attachments for the animal that actually lived inside of there. These can be kind of, these are not common at all, so this was a really cool piece, but it's only half of the animal. It's one of the hinge, and I didn't have any of the others. Well, I recently discovered 2 examples of, and that's a minor bug that you just saw right there. I'm going to go to the menu, go to the main menu so it stops doing that. What you're looking at actually is the top valve of that shell. And these are what are called inarticulate brachiopods. They're slightly different from most of the brachiopods that you see, which are clam-like but not actually clams, believe it or not. There's a lot of convergent evolution that's happened over Earth's history, and so stuff that's, you know, around 385 million years old is going to have some features of things that animals in similar ecological niches today will also evolve. And brachiopods are still around. They're just not nearly as common as they used to be way, way back in the day. So there's an example of Strophodonta demissa. There you go. The top shell, 1 example, and 2 examples. So I thought that was really, really cool to be able to make this part of the exhibit a little more complete. And in the same vein, another... we're on stop 3, I think, of the stuff that's new for this update. Walk over to the Nako. I don't remember which of these exhibits is the first one that I made. This is one of the earliest. This one has been available in, I think, every version of SHADOWBOX that I've ever play tested in front of people. So this is one that's older, that I'm definitely going to go back in and update. But one of the things that I was happy to add, because first of all, like, these are coral. This is the same model, just kind of repeated, and I put it in there because I like jumping on them, but there's no explanation as to what they are. So, you know, again, this stuff is a work in progress. I will be adding more such things at a future time. But for this quick update, while I work on opening new big exhibits with stuff that you guys are definitely going to be excited to see, I've gone and added a couple of extra things in places that are already open. One of them is Linoproductus. This is a producted brachiopod, so we've got yet another one of those, and there's even one more still in store for fans of productids. These ones are from the Nako, and they're agatized. So in the Nako formation, you don't really see this on really many of the other fossils I've put on display here so far, except for this one. If you go over here, you can see these kind of red dots on this composita shell. That's agatization. That's actually like the beginnings of forming agate mineral in this fossil. And these 2 Linoproductus that I've added, so this diagram here, those photos, and then these models are all new. These are agatized Linoproductus. So I have some examples of this fossil that are just regular and gray. These ones, are like red, which is really cool. And you even see in cross section here, you can see that mineral a lot better. And I'm looking at it in the mini viewer, and it's just, so I'm running this in 4K on my computer. That's what I built it around. And sometimes I get up real close to the stuff and I'm like, it could be better. Maybe I should try scanning this again. But I'm looking at it on mini in the other tab, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. I really, I've published my methods for how I do the scanning and the software that I use and all of that. And I just gotta say, I think people should be doing this. If you have fossils, like, I'll have tutorials up eventually that show you how I do this, and I really think that this is something that, like, even if you're a collector who only, collects stuff every now and again, you only have a handful of shells and stuff, there is no reason not to take your hand at preserving this stuff in digital form. It's not a replacement for the fossil, but it significantly increases, right, the chances of this fossil being something that future generations can view if there's a good digital 3D copy of it. And hey, if you're interested in donating scans, right, again, ptpaleo@proton.me, we'll chat and talk about if you want to kick over. Their FBX files are the ones that I use, .fbx, if you want to discuss terms of display and things like that. One more productive that I want to show you over here in the Kaibab limestone. We're still in Arizona for these last two. The Nako is stuff in Arizona. The Kaibab is Arizona. And I just went ahead and added an additional, this is a third Dictyoclastus. These really nice productids. It's a big shell. Again, you can see in the left side over there how large it is. If you don't have a scale bar in your house, and I have tons, but somehow none of them are within arm's reach. Again, I think I need to make like a booklet or a brochure for this game that has like a scale bar to scale in it so that you can hold it and get an idea for what that is. And then, of course, if you want to read the article that I wrote on, some of these animals that are on display, I have articles for. And one of the advantages to releasing the software through Steam is that Steam has this built-in overlay. I've got to verify to Cloudflare that I am a human being trying to access this page. There you go. But all I did was open up the inspection page and hit Q, and now you have my article on Dictyoclastus, so you can learn more about the animal. I always have listed my sources and additional reading. If you see a paper listed on here, I opened it, I found information in it, I highlighted notes, and I used it in my articles. So if you have questions about where I got information on any of this stuff, it's in those articles. And, if you don't have access to all of these papers, which very few people do if you're not a current university, employee or student, just because, unfortunately, scientific publication is such an inaccessible thing to most people. But if you see it here, I have a copy of it. So if you would like me to explain where I got this information, I can do that. So again, reach out to my email, start a discussion on the Steam forum, stuff like that. And then you just hit your Shift and Tab to close it again. And there you go. Our third Dictyoclastus added to the Permian Kaibab limestone. And now we're going to jump ahead to the Cretaceous. This is going to be the last new addition for these exhibits. If you go ahead and run down to the Moreno Hill Formation, this is 92 million year old dinosaur bones. I have gone and added over here with Hayawati. I've gone ahead and added 2 bones actually. So Hayawati is a dinosaur not known from too much material. It's got a really nice lower right jaw, which you can see here. And again, you can hit Q to read my article that I wrote about it. It is of the Hadrosauroid clade. You might have heard of the duck-billed hadrosaur dinosaurs, part of the family Hadrosauridae. Hayawati is not in that family. It is part of the umbrella of animals that are closely related to them, but not true members of that clade. And so I wanted to add, for comparison, if you want to see, what is that? Just under 20 million years of evolution does. On the left, we have a bone called the left quadrate. This is part of the skull of Hayawati. And if you're saying, hey, I wish there were more illustrations of what this stuff looked like in reconstructions, I do too. If you are an artist who does any kind of paleo reconstructions and you're interested in doing display in SHADOWBOX, again, reach out to me. I want to work with you. The left quadrate is basically part of the back of the skull of these animals, and this is the one from the left side. And you can compare that of
Hayawati rugoculus.
There you go.
Hayawati rugoculus.
In case you really, really want to hear it loud and clear, just keep hitting that button. So that's Hayawati, and on the right we have the same bone from a different dinosaur, a true hadrosaurid called Nashoibitosaurus. So this is the same bone on a much larger animal that lived in the very similar area, but several million years later. And, you know, again, if I was an anatomist who exclusively worked in hadrosaurids and hadrosauroids, I'd probably be able to make a really fascinating close-up exhibit showing all of the different features that separate these two. These are all things that I'll come back to at some point, but, you know, when developing these exhibits, I want to have a smart balance between obsessively showing off, like, every single new thing that I make as soon as I have my hands on it. I get excited when I scan something really cool and I'm like, I want to put this in the next update. But you have to kind of be reasonable. You know, I work a part-time job at the university and I do research stuff out in the Menifee Formation and in other capacities. So I've got a lot of responsibilities. I can't be working on this thing 24/7, unfortunately. If you do appreciate all the work that's gone into it so far and you want to help be a force multiplier and making this stuff get better faster, you can add yourself to one of the beautiful slots here for donors, people who have sent money to donate to the project. I have a Patreon page where you can see all kinds of videos of me out in the field. You can get access to a ton of articles that aren't free and embedded within SHADOWBOX. If you want to see more of my writing and more of my photography, Patreon is a great way to do that. But if you just want to send in a one-time donation, it's through patreon.com/ptpaleo/shop. There are options for a direct donation. And I'm just going to go ahead and quickly run down about 55 million years ago. This is the Geological Eras Tour. This is kind of the most experimental and definitely the most difficult exhibit to render for most people's computers. So if you go into this one and it crashes or it's super laggy, you know, let us know because we're trying to improve it. But that is, you know, the experience that most people have had. And I just wanted to point out that I've added photos of 2 insects that are preserved in amber. These are from Baltic amber, and they're about 55 million years ago. You can see down there in the left-hand corner, we have our counter. All of this stuff, this menu I was just showing you, the counter in the corner there, all Brayden. I cannot do coding. I am so bad at it. I am miserable at doing all of the things that, you know, make this experience interactive. I can make the exhibits, I can write articles, I can take photos, I can do scans. I'm hoping to be better at other parts of the programming someday, but again, if all of these features that you are enjoying go into credits, game credits, and you know, there are a lot of people who help me with this. There are a lot of people that help me with this. So big props to everybody. This is something that I did, which is take these 2 pictures of insects preserved in amber underneath my microscope. I actually did this on the same scope that I use for MicroStream. So normally on Mondays at 4 p.m. Arizona time, Mountain Standard Time, but Google will show you the wrong time zone. If you Google Mountain Standard, it's a whole thing. So I say Arizona time. 4 p.m. Arizona time on Mondays, I'm usually working underneath the microscope that's behind me. And these are examples of things, photographs that I have taken on that scope. And if you want to hang out with me live on Mondays to look at that, you certainly can, and that's where we're going to be. So that's everything that's new in beta 1.55. You know, I want, again, to shout out the fact that there are a lot of people who have contributed both their talents and donations to help make this stuff possible so that I can make it free, because that is the way that it's going to be. That's the way that it's been, and I'm sticking to the free model. I work on this stuff, and I feel good about working on this stuff because I know that anybody, as long as they have access to not even just to a PC, but to YouTube to be able to watch videos of me playing in it, but also other people as well. Again, this is free software. You should contact your favorite streamer and tell them to play this game and let me know what they think. And, if you find fossils interesting, this is, not like anything else that I've ever seen and that I think is available for people to try. So I'm going to keep heavily investing my time in this. And again, I really appreciate everyone else who has as well. There's probably going to be at least 1, maybe 2 more updates before the end of the year. So there's still time if you want to. And we're going to take a break at the end of this year. And I'm going to be away from my computer that I make this on. So if you play test and you find bugs, let me know ASAP so we can push out any bug testing, bug fixing updates, and those kinds of improvements before Brayden and I take a much needed break at the end of this year for just a few days. I'm going to go and run into the Chinle real quick, just to show off more pronunciations. This is another exhibit that I really want to update. There's actually a lot more material that I have that's supposed to go in here, but I just wanted to shout out that now, if you were curious how to pronounce Phytosauria, you can go in and hit V and...
Phytosauria.
There you go.
Phytosauria. Phytosauria.
There you go.
Show them how hexagonorrhea is supposed to be pronounced.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. I'm never gonna... I guess that's just gonna be the way that my friends insist to call it. But one of the reasons, just to retell a story I've told many times, one of the reasons that we're putting in so many different ways to hear the pronunciation, the suggested pronunciations, is from a time that a good friend of both of ours was graciously playtesting this. Actually, Nick is credited in here for helping out with the music as well. I guess I just outed the person who said this initially, but he popped into this exhibit and saw this and said, "Oh, hexagonorrhea." And no, it's hexagonaria. And again, nobody knows how Latin is actually pronounced, but I'm fairly confident it wasn't that this word, if it had existed in ancient Rome, would not have been pronounced as hexagonorrhea. I would generally prefer that people not call it that, because that's such a horrible name. So again, you go in and you press V.
Hexagonaria. 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 Hexagonaria.
Just a suggestion. It's I don't believe in imposing my rule and my law on people beyond, the stuff that I find fun. I don't think it's interesting or necessary to police people's pronunciations, but stop calling it hexagonorrhea. Stop calling it hexagonorrhea. It's not how it's pronounced. You're making it sound so awful. It's a cool little piece of coral, and it doesn't deserve to be called that. Look at how sad you made hexagonaria. Look at what you did. You killed it. It's dead. It's been dead for 380 million years. Actually, 382.7 to 372.2 million years. There you go. All right, that's the stream.